Hi, I'm John Craig with Performance Plus Tennis. Welcome to Breaking Serve as an instructional component of Breaking Bad at TennisCon 2019. I'm really pleased to be working with Peter Freeman and French Time Coaching. Appreciate the opportunity and hope this lesson really helps you learn how to break serve. To me, returning serve has always been about a mindset, and that mindset is established with a great ritual. And just like with the serve itself, you want to have a ritual that is meaningful and repeatable, that gets you in the right frame of mind and in the right rhythm to play great return to serve. So what I do is I make sure that between points, I really focus on what I want to do next. I think about maybe perhaps where I am in the game, how I want to play this next point. And I really, check my strings, make sure I'm focused on my breathing. I'm staying in the moment and staying with myself and really focusing on what I want to do next. And then when I come back here to return serve, I get into a really good ready position. I get down a little bit low. And this low position really isn't how I'm going to play the ball. And again, you see Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, they're really bent over. They're like this. And that's really just sort of to help them get their tunnel vision, to get them focused and zeroed in. But obviously, by the time the ball is played, they're standing up. I do something similar. I get nice and low, get my feet nice and wide. I'm ready to go. And then when the ball gets played on the serve and the server is about to go, I stand up and I start moving my feet. So I go from sort of a rocking move to a stand up and moving the feet. See that? And I use this ritual to get me in rhythm, to get me to react quickly to the ball off of the opponent's racket. So that when they toss the ball up, right now I move in and they play the ball. And you're going to see that in some of the clips here when I'm returning serve, that every time the opponent is serving, I am thinking about coming in. So I'm more of an aggressive mindset on the return of serve. I want to make sure that I have a good stability, a good forward movement, so I feel like I'm pursuing the ball, even on the first serve. So make sure that you really establish a great ritual that you feel comfortable with, that's repeatable, that gets you into a great mindset. When I'm in my ritual, I'm asking myself one question. Is it a forehand or is it a backhand? So when I'm preparing to receive serve and I'm down in my ritual and I'm rocking, and then as the opponent starts to enter into their serve, I stand up and I use alternating steps and then move forward. When my feet go in the air, I answer the question as the contact is made, so that my timing is right on sync with the contact of the ball. 1, 2, 3, forehand or backhand, forehand. And I go right out and play my forehand. So there's absolutely no delay in my response to the ball off the opponent's racket. I can't afford to give up even 1/10 of a second against a big first serve. So this helps me really get focused and answer a question and stay on task, which really does help me get a lot of these big serves back. The other thing that I will do when I'm playing against a big server, and I know the big serve's coming on the first serve, I will automatically set up to play a block return, and I'll have my continental grip set, so I don't have to make any grip adjustments. So I can just simply react to the ball and come in and just have a very compact blocking motion and just use the power that's in the ball to block it back and get into the point. So that's a very useful skill either on the forehand or on the backhand side if the serve is coming in with so much pace that I really can't take a good swing at it. One thing I really don't do as a first adjustment to a big serve is move back. First thing I do is adjust my swing, make it compact. If that doesn't work, then maybe I'll create a little bit more space. But of course, when I do this, I know I'm giving up a little bit more of an angle. So if my opponent can hit a hard serve and hit the corners, and they're very accurate, I'm kind of in trouble. So I feel as though I'm much better off staying in and trying to time the return rather than trying to back up and create angles for them to play into. The other thing that I do against a big server is I pre-plan where I intend to hit the ball. And I try to play the ball into the largest, safest part of the court. So for example, if I'm in the deuce court and I'm playing against a big server, I already know that if the ball comes to my backhand, I'm going to try to play it straight down the line to their backhand for a right-hander. Because the likelihood of me being late is greater, gets a big server, and I want to have the full width of the court to be late and still get the ball in play. Same thing on the forehand side. From here, I'm already pre-planning that I'm going to try and make that ball go cross court, so I'm early and I have a nice wide window to which to play the ball into if I am indeed late. So those are the types of things I do against a big hard server, and I really, if I have time, I will use my regular strokes in an abbreviated format, but if I don't, I will revert right into the blocking technique to try to get that ball back. Because I want to make my opponent play the ball. I want to get into these points. I want to use my footwork, my craftiness, my consistency, and my experience to break them down and get into the rally with them. So I will do everything I can to make them get into a rally and try to get them on neutral ground where I feel as though I have an advantage. And that's how I play against big servers. (30-15). He's been serving to my backhand in the ad court. Gotta keep an eye out for that backhand. Look for that ball toss maybe to get over the head a little bit. Think you're ready? Get into your ritual. Here we go. So when I'm returning serve, I always think before I even set up what's going on. What kind of patterns of play are occurring? Where's the player seem comfortable serving? Where are they serving the ball? What kind of spin is on it? What can I anticipate? What kind of patterns are repeating that I can anticipate and play into and take advantage of the point? So those are really critical things that you have to keep in mind as you're playing a match that, again, help you stay focused on the match itself. And I think mentally, a lot of mistakes that players make out there is we get fixated on what we should have done in the last point, or what the consequences are going to be if we don't win this point, or who's watching, or who I'm going to let down, or geez, if I don't win this match, then I'm out of the tournament. All these things. But if you train yourself the right way to stay focused on your task, one shot at a time, and particularly with a return of serve, then your mind doesn't tend to drift into these places that don't really produce much, certainly nothing that's going to help you perform at your best. So keep training your mind from the time the point is over that you're right back into, okay, that point's gone, it's history. Let's get ready for the next point. What can I do here? How can I make this player play? I am focused 100%. I'm going to do everything I can to get this ball back in play and really feel like you play every single point with 100% focus. That is a skill in and of itself that we need to develop, is the mental mindset and the focus and the determination, so we don't throw any points away and we just give it our best at all times. And that's going to help you feel like you get more invested in the match, more immersed in the match itself, that oftentimes allows you to be playing much more competitively with much greater freedom and much better performances than feeling like caught up in the, oh my gosh, what could have been, or what will happen, and those kinds of things. So it's a little bit maybe off track, but this is a big part of returning serve, is to really be in the moment. And again, go through those rituals between points that get you into the mindset, the place where you feel as though you're most prepared mentally to play the return. So far, we've covered how to return serve against a big server when you really are running out of time and they're really dictating to you. So when can you take charge? When do you really turn the tables and really play offensively minded return of serves? Well, for me, if I'm playing against an opponent for the very first time, I use not only the warm-up, but the first few games of the match that they're serving to really assess what their serve is like, how quick it is, how accurate it is, what kind of spins are on it, what kind of patterns that the opponent likes to play, what they're comfortable doing. And then if I determine that I have the time and the space to really use my regular ground strokes, then I'm going to use them and try to take charge on that return and dictate from the first shot. So I do this exact same movement from my ritual. I'm ready to go, and I come in, I see it's a forehand, I come up, and I play a regular offensively minded stroke. And I make my mind up to do that before they've served. So again, a lot of these decisions are made in advance, so all I have to do is react and adapt and play, and not try to make quick decisions when there isn't time to do that. So that simplifies my returning process. And generally for me, it's definitely made it a lot easier to be decisive and not make mistakes because I'm hesitating. So as far as, when I have time also like this, I'm also able to open up the court for more, tactical returns. So when I'm returning and serve against a big server, I had a very specific place I tried to play the ball in general to give myself a big margin of safety around being late. But when I have more time, now I can be more authoritative. I can dictate. I don't have to hit the ball perhaps to the safest place with the biggest margin. So now I can play to the weak side or change my patterns of play, mix things up. So once you realize that you have a little bit of time to work with and you can implement your regular stroke, you can be a lot more offensively minded. When I'm playing my regular stroke, the footwork that is ideal, the ideal footwork to play return of serves for most returns is in semi-open or an open stance. So, for example, I'm in my routine, my ritual, I come up, I land forehand, I'm going to step out with my right leg. So my first move off the split step is to land and push out. So now I can play the contact with an open stance. And because the ball is more likely to be up high, an open stance lends itself to much more of a comfortable contact and position to play the open stance or play the high contact from. So an open stance is the preferred stance to use on the return, particularly on the forehand side, and also on the backhand side for a two-hander, which we'll get to. So the other option also is if the ball is a little farther away from me, I can use what I call a dynamic or double open stance. So for example, here's the regular open stance, okay? And here comes the dynamic or double open. 1, 2, 3, up, spring, land. So the double open is it's open once to land, open twice to finish. So I use that move if the ball's further away and I spring onto the ball to return the serve. On the backhand side, it could be a little bit different. For me, I'm a one-handed backhand player, so it's ideal for me to move and get my right foot in, whether I'm hitting a topspin return or I'm hitting a slice return. But either way, my first move is going to be to put my weight on my left leg, which is the leg closest to the ball. 1, 2, 3, split, out I go. And now I'm in position, if the ball were to come, I could hold my balance and play, or hold my balance and play, or I can put my foot in and play, which would be ideal. So it's a little bit different for the one-handed backhand. For the two-hander, you're going to, again, go right into the move where you come up, land, step out. And oftentimes, if the ball is inside this range, you can just play the return with the open stance and then go right into your recovery. If the ball's a little bit further, you could do a double open, where you land and push off and then go into your recovery. I think that that's a better option than when the right foot goes across and you get yourself jammed, because once the right foot comes across to reach the ball, it's very difficult to get your body to rotate with your swing. Likely you're going to hit a very weak return or maybe even make a mistake. So you want to be in a balance where you're able to rotate with the two-hander to play the return. And if you put the right foot across, sometimes that limits that ability to rotate and weakens the shot. So those are your footwork options for returning serve on the balls where you're going to stay back. Okay, you're not thinking about going in. What about returning serves on second serves? Here you're going to have more options. And if you're a baseline grinder who loves to hit ground strokes and you've got big loopy strokes, this is a chance to dictate on the return with that stroke right away from the get-go. So I would say stay back, make sure you've got that little bit of space, make sure that you can make a nice aggressive swing on the ball and use your strokes. For me, that's sometimes something that I would do, and other times I like to move in and attack the ball and take it early. So oftentimes if I'm playing and I want to shorten the point in particular or dictate, so I don't want to play long points, I will look to move in and I'll take the ball off the rise and take the time away, and I'll be very aggressively minded. So I'm looking to move in, take the ball early, especially if it's a good kick serve that's going to jump up high. I'm going to want to get that ball before it gets up over my shoulders. I'm going to try to attack that ball and move forward and pressure my opponent. That is a great tactic on the return of serve. I also like to use my underspin on the return to serve sometimes as well, because for me, I've learned how to prepare like I'm going to play either an underspin or a topspin from almost the same position with a little bit of a grip change. So oftentimes I'll come here and I'll look like I'm going to go into a topspin, but I'll just go into a slice and I'll play a soft slice cross court. Or if I really am having great control and have a great read on the serve, I might even hit a drop shot so that I keep my opponent guessing. So on second serves, I establish the pattern that I'm going to be aggressive. And then I can use these other variations to throw them off and keep them really predicting what I'm going to be doing. So once you get a second serve, the door opens up for a lot of different options. Make sure you're matching your skill set to the serve to try and dictate from the get-go, whether it's a loopy, heavy ground stroke shot, or it's a slice, or you're moving in and being aggressive. Figure out your strengths against that serve to get the best results, and be thinking out there all the time. For a lot of players, the return to serve is a frustrating shot that players try to avoid and rarely practice. For me, I always looked at it like it was a challenge, and I really wanted it. I wanted to practice it. I looked at it as something I really wanted to get good at, and I'd love to take the challenge on. The return to serve is not only the second most important shot in tennis, but it's probably the most difficult shot in tennis after the serve. So it really does lend itself to a lot more attention than most players give it. So I encourage you to embrace it, have a positive mentality about it, work on it, and make it a skill that you can be proud of. That's an essential part of your game. You can't win a match if you can't break serve. If you can't break serve in the set, then you at least have to get a mini break and a tiebreaker. If you can't do that, then obviously you can't win. So get out there and practice it, work on these things, and I hope that this lesson today has really helped you improve your return to serve. If you would like to learn more about Performance Plus Tennis and our instructional programs, please visit our website, performanceplustennis.com, and subscribe to our website and get updates, tips, lessons, and much, much more. And we look forward to helping you in the future with your tennis game, and join our growing community of tennis enthusiasts at Performance Plus.